We also have two very special guests today, starting with Kristian Harloff from Schmoes Know.
I'm very happy to be here again, and don't worry, John, I won't spoil anything. I've never seen the show.
And we also have the second half of the Schmoes Know podcast with Mark Ellis.
Thank you for calling me the second half of the show. I'm the third and fourth quarter branch of the Schmoes Know brand.
That's it.
Kristian, what do you think?
I agree with you, but the thing is, though, what he backed himself in a corner with is, when there's something to tell my fans, I'm going to tell them right away. So if he's Ant-Man right off the bat, it's like, well, why didn't you tell us? Because you said you would. So maybe I'm almost buying that. Maybe, like you said, maybe they have cast it, maybe it is Paul Rudd, maybe he was in the running at one point, and now that's passed, and so he's like, well, yeah, I was in the running for it once, but why am I going to tell my fans that? I was in the running for a lot of different roles. So I actually think Paul Rudd is going to wind up being Ant-Man. I do think that that's going to wind up being true. I think it's I didn't like it at first, and I do like it now because I think it's a different take on the character, but I'm going to buy stock into what Levitt's saying here.
What do you think, Mark?
I think the loser should have to play Robin in the new Justice League movie. Whoever doesn't get Ant-Man is going to be Robin. And look, I mean, this is the world we live in now where rumors and speculation count as news. So you can spin this either way. You can say, oh, well, I haven't confirmed it yet. And then if it turns out he has been Ant-Man for a month, then, oh, well, the deal wasn't finalized. So that's just kind of what 2013 is as far as movies goes, that we just get excited about speculation. Personally, I would like to see either one of them, but I would take Joseph Gordon-Levitt in overtime as my choice for Ant-Man. I think this test screening is beautiful because finally Jews and Catholics can agree on something. They're not a huge fan of the movie right now. You need to change the name. Call it Noah based on a true story. That'll get busted to seats. I think you leave Aronofsky alone, just like Kristian said. I mean, the guy has proven himself with a track record. Not only that he makes great films, but that he's a very quirky director. He has his own method, but there is something behind it. So I say let the guy do what he wants. And again, it's a religious movie. You're gonna upset people. That's what religion does. Yeah. And John, I do see your point of view because when the Ark was actually built, the studio stepped in. God told Noah a few things to do with that, so maybe it's just following protocol.
I agree with you, John, in the fact that what The Dark Knight did was that it made it possible. Because before The Dark Knight came out, no one would ever even considered that question because it just wouldn't. There were no contenders that you could really think about. Maybe Superman back in the day because of what it did. You know, the first one, Richard Donner, but. Yeah, it's possible, but it's also going to be hard because it's going to be very hard to get Aquaman nominated for just for that reason alone, the giggles. But in regards to whether or not
people would be laughing
and nominated Aquaman, it just doesn't work. But
best actor Steven Seagal for Aquaman.
In regards to what Batman and Superman would have to do in order to win is honestly, and I'm not saying this is a joke, is not have Zack Snyder as the director of it, and that's because he is always everyone thinks he's visual first, and there's no story a lot of the time, and no character development, and that is not going to win you an Oscar. So
I would like to begin my answer by telling you what happened on Sons of Anarchy last night.
Well said. Well said.
Fuck off, Mike Trout. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Mark out.
I mean, again, I got to disagree with that. I think that the ending of a movie is something that I can still enjoy a movie going into it if I know what happens. And I was actually that unfortunate soul that had The Sixth Sense ruined for them before
that's
I saw it.
Yeah.
And it's not as good of a movie. You can still appreciate what it is and what the director did. And when you talk about something where you know what happens, like Titanic or Apollo 13, it's a fine story, and it makes the director work a little bit harder to create that suspense of Apollo 13 when we all know what happens, but in that moment, in that theater, we don't know if these guys are going to survive or not. So, but I would not want to know anything. I like to know as little as possible going into a movie anyway. I don't like seeing the second trailer. I want to be teased. When I see The Dark Knight Rises, all I want to see is that scene of Gary Oldman in the hospital bed, and you got me. It's Batman's in it, you got my money, that's all I need.
I want to thank our very special guests who've been joining me here today. First of all, sitting to my immediate right, Mr. Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me at Twitter at Schmoes Know or at Kristian Harloff. But on this very YouTube right here, subscribe to Schmoes Know. Please do that and let's talk movies.
And sitting next to him, his partner over at Schmoes Know, Mr. Mark Ellis. Mark, where can people find you?
I'll also check out the Twitter feed at Schmoes Know or at Ellis5150. And make sure you guys watch our podcast. It's every Thursday night live on the Toad Hop Network from 8 to 10 PST, and you can download it afterwards on iTunes.
Guys, thank you so much for coming in today. And we've been working on this for a while to get both of you in here at the same time.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And of course, I want to thank the girl who makes everything run over here, Miss Chrisley Kennedy. Chrisley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chrisley. It is Boys Town here today at AMC Movie News. So I'm going to start off the table with one half of the Schmoes Know podcast, Mr. Kristian Harloff.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be back.
Good to have you here.
We also have the other half, Mr. Mark Ellis.
Hey, I'm also thrilled to be back. Everything is indeed pretty close to awesome.
And you guys have asked for him, and today he's here from YouTube, Jeremy Johns.
How you guys doing? I'll be sitting in as Mark Ellis's lawyer.
You
brought me
spent
a
that
corsage.
on your card from YouTube.
Yeah, but if you talk about brainless action, of which I'm an expert, I think that you can't really
That's what your girlfriend says. Yeah.
My girlfriend doesn't exist.
As your lawyer, you need to roll with that.
As soon as she becomes nonfiction, I'll let everybody know. I think if this movie was based on the Lincoln Logs, I would have been surprised. But what surprises me about the Lego movie, it wasn't made 10 years before this. I'm happy that they waited because they finally got a great product to put out. But it was really, really impressive. I think it earned the $70 million.
Well, it's doing great stuff when people are comparing it to Toy Story already. They're saying it's the next Toy Story, and the fact that
To which I'd say pump the brakes, but
I don't know, man.
Last 15 minutes.
It does something really special to where you're just so happy watching the movie. You're singing along, you're doing all this stuff. But the reason I'm not surprised at all is because I saw a thing they did with Star Wars like in November or December, and how clever it was, and I was blown away by it, and that's what got me into the theater. I'm like, I cannot wait, and I think the word of mouth has really helped it too. So it doesn't really shock me that it made as much as it did.
Kristian, buy or sell this new vision for Escape from New York, Silver is describing.
I'm buying it, but I'm keeping my receipt just in case I need to return it. Just because, look, the thing is, if someone would have come to me a while ago and said, hey, they're going to remake Planet of the Apes and they're going to put James Franco in it, I'd be like, get out of here. But then they had the right writer, they had the right director, they had a nice premise, and that's what I think this has, just a matter of who they get and the team that they get. But I used to work for Joel Silver for a little bit, so I'm curious. Sometimes he made the right decisions, and sometimes the team he had made the wrong decisions. I like the creative team he has in place right now, so I'm optimistic-ish.
Surprisingly.
It very well could be, and it's a matter of cheese too, because the original movie, as great as it is, it's got a lot of cheese to it.
No doubt.
So if they try to emulate cheese factor with because Machete and Machete Kills didn't work, and these B movies that they try to make now really don't work.
Machete Kills was rad.
It was fun. It was
Machete Kills again in space is going to be the best movie I've ever seen.
Right.
All right, what's next?
There's nothing wrong with cheese. Just saying. Mark, buy or sell the sounds of The Intern with Anne Hathaway in it.
why did I get this question?
I
don't care about this movie. I'm selling the crap out of this. I do not care. How can we go from Escape from New York to The Intern with Anne Hathaway and De Niro?
Right.
I'm selling it. If somebody wants to buy it, contact me on Craigslist. It is available.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think I'll probably go tentative buy as well too. Because do we know who's directing this one?
Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to the same argument. It depends on who's writing and directing it. But I agree with you that Anne Hathaway puts effort into everything she does. Maybe almost even too much sometimes, but she does. And De Niro has been on that string of, hey, I care again. So
He went called on himself.
Yeah, he really did.
He did. So Pacino's now doing that by himself. But yeah, I'm gonna wait for the first trailer before I sell it.
John's over here. He's the guy buying Medellin for $1.
Yeah.
They're buying really bad movies and flipping them.
Yeah.
What's next?
Is it sad that I think that Anne Hathaway takes the fun out of The Intern? With Reese Witherspoon, I was super excited about it, and with Anne Hathaway, not so much.
Women hate Anne Hathaway. Why do they hate her so much?
Women hate attractive women.
Don't hate her.
And the thing was too is that they actually it seems like they've been doing this for a while, because at Comic-Con, when they announced this, they quoted.
They read right from it.
They read right from it. So it seems like they always have been wanting to do that. But I agree with Jeremy in the fact that I think that if we still were going off the Nolan version, the trilogy, you'd probably have an easier way to set that tone. But what you've done now and plus there's so much coming at us with Wonder Woman and now Lex Luthor and all this stuff happened too. How they combine all that with this, I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, The Dark Knight Returns, I'm not a strong reader, but everything that I've heard about this story, just getting to see Batman and Superman, I think when you really get into the minutiae of all this, you can kind of see, you want to see the forest for the trees too. We get to see Batman and Superman together based on this story. And even though it may not be the Superman sequel that we thought we were going to get, I'm cool with that because I didn't really love the Man of Steel that much. If that's all we get with a Superman movie, we're going to need some other characters in there. So as the foundation, the building blocks, the Legos, if you will, for this story, I think it's great. I think it's the perfect call. Is
Not
Patrick
the
Stewart
first class.
Like, how is Patrick Stewart not knighted?
Is he not knighted?
How is he not knighted?
No one calls him sir. Yeah.
Maybe it's because he went by the name Jean-Luc Picard. And
Yeah, I call him Jean-Luc Picard all the time.
Yeah, they call him Cap. Well, they killed Red Dawn for me. But I'm going to go ahead and say Time Bandits. Time Bandits.
That would work.
Time Bandits would work. Flash Gordon's another one I'd like to see. But those two.
Oh my God! Don't
Flash
get me
Gordon would
started.
be cool. I'm telling you,
Ted
this
over
is a
here.
whole other show. We'll talk about it some other time.
Quick note. Highlander is actually my top 10 favorite films of all time.
Oh, really?
The original, yeah.
Do you watch it lately?
Not in the past year.
Watch it today.
With the Kurgan and everything? Okay.
So glad you guys can be friends. That's cute.
Garrett Farney says, what do you think we will see first? A Ruffalo Hulk standalone movie or a Miss Marvel movie?
I really don't think Kevin Feige is all that keen on getting a standalone Hulk movie going. I think they see him more as an amazing supporting beam in the building that is Marvel. So I think, honestly, I think we're going to see Miss Marvel first. And I'm not even completely convinced that we're going to see Miss Marvel movie at all. What do you guys think?
I think we see a Hulk movie first. I think because Ms. Marvel, I don't think is so widely known to casual fans as the way that Hulk is. And I think Hulk was like the star of the Avengers almost. So, you know, there were rumors of the Planet Hulk movie. Whether or not that's going to come to fruition, who knows? But I want to see that movie. I actually liked the last Incredible Hulk movie very much.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Hulk may be better utilized as instant offense in a bigger movie, but I think that seeing the response that he got from the Avengers, I think you just simply can't deny him his own movie. And Miss Marvel, again, I don't know that the market's there for it. I'm just not familiar with the character, so.
What we think of The Watchmen. In my opinion, it's the best graphic novel movie adaptation I've ever seen.
No, I think you're on the right page because for me, I think shot by shot what Zack Snyder did for the movie is I would love the graphic novel. Shot by shot looked just like it. However, it's what scares me about the Eisenberg thing was some of the casting. Matthew Good and Malin Akerman took me out of the movie for a lot of the scenes. I thought some of the casting was really, really good, but overall, I thought it was good, not great.
What took me out of the movie was seeing the big blue penis constantly. But I agree with you that Zack Snyder did about as good of a job as he possibly could have with that material. It was just so hard. Like that was like the X-Men training room dialed up to 10 on a level of difficulty scale. So he did as good a job as he could have done with it, but I don't need to see any more of that on the big screen. I think it should stay a graphic novel.
With Rush being successful, can you see any more F1 movies being made? Ooh,
Yes.
and the crowd goes quiet.
I was trying to think of stories
she cared
box
about.
office receipts of Rush in my head,
Yeah,
and
it
it
didn't do well.
Didn't
No,
do bad. Didn't do
yeah.
bad.
Well, it did okay. It was a little disappointing for opening weekend and stuff too. But then, you know, it was the word of mouth and the fact that because everyone when that trailer came out, everyone was like, "Oh, it's Days of Thunder. I'm not going to see that." And then what you had was this great rivalry. But that again goes back to the consistent theme of what we're talking about today, and that's the directing, the performances. Daniel Bruhl coming out of left field
Oh
throwing
my God, he
bombs.
was so good in that movie.
Yeah, so good. So like that, that's tough. I mean, you can make a movie literally about anything if you have the right writer, director, and putting it together in story. And Hans Zimmer's score in that film was out of control. So
I can't imagine another F1 movie being that good and being that dramatic and being based on a true story too. So don't make another.
Yeah.
Make a Rush movie about the band.
Oh no!
You know,
Today's Tom Sawyer.
it's not actually, it's not the same kind of racing, but I think that's what we're going to get with the Need for Speed, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, F1 is a tough sell. It's not real popular in North America,
Yeah.
right? But I just want to point out, once again, Rush is a good Canadian band. Just want to throw that out there. All right, what's next?
Danny, because I can't pronounce your whole Twitter name, wants to know if there's a possibility of an Artemis Fowl movie.
Here's the thing. I'm very passionate about this. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is. Right now. I'm not sure what that is.
Jeremy and I looked at each other.
Harloff
and went,
looked like what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was like,
we both made the Al
Maybe I'm the
sound.
only expert on this because Artemis Fowl is, I believe, the name of my old neighbor who lives next door. he's on a rocking chair. He's got a shotgun. I think that's Artemis Fowl. I think that's
See,
his
when he
name.
said Artemis, the first thing I thought of was, remember
Wild
the girl
Wild
who
West?
became, no, I was thinking about the other Amazonian who became Wonder Woman for like a year or two in the comics like 10 years ago. Her name's Artemis.
I like
That's
this movie
as
we're
far as I
making.
go.
This is a good
This
film
one
right
sounds
here.
good.
I think Chris Lee made that up.
I totally did it. And when I saw it, I was like, I have no idea what this is. These guys definitely
these
know what it is.
Yeah, we'll
And
know.
Nobody knew.
Okay, what's up?
Mark, turn down that music. I'm pretty sure I know what happened at the end of the Greg. Like, my money's on the wolf.
Well,
What?
that's
No,
not what I
didn't
came
watch
from.
it.
Did you not see the end
No, he
credits?
didn't.
That extra scene in the end
Did I
credits?
lose money in Vegas right now?
Sorry,
I put $2,000 on the wolf.
You usually run out right before the credits end.
Yeah,
so-
you usually got to pee.
Yeah, unless it's a Marvel movie.
I want to thank, first of all, our special guest joining me at the table today. First of all, Mr. Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you online?
Right here on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to Schmoes Know on YouTube.
And I guess he stole your thunder, Mark. But where can people find you online, Mark?
Schmoes Know on YouTube. Go to our website, www.schmoesknow.com. We're breaking scoops on there. We have a lot of movie news, cool reporting on there. Definitely check out the site, schmoesknow.com.
And Jeremy Johns from YouTube is also with us. Jeremy, where can people find you online?
I think everyone at this table is just taking over YouTube. YouTube at Jeremy Johns. That's Jahns because I like spelling my last name all fun-like. But
And of course, our lovely host today, the gatekeeper herself, Miss Chrisley Kennedy. Chrisley, where can people find you online?
So
Was
hot.
that the gatekeeper or the geek keeper? Because
Oh,
I'll
either
go
or.
with either
Yeah.
one.
She keeps
You
these
guys
like
can.
Michonne.
I'll call you
guys can-
Keymaster next time.
I like that. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Chrisley and on Tumblr, The Movie Chick.
And you can find me on the various social media networks just at John Campia. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Great having you guys here
Yeah,
today.
it's
This
awesome.
was
Great being here.
this is a lot of fun. We got to do this again sometime. Next time you're visiting LA, we got to have the whole gang back together again.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us. Listen, the most important part of the show is absolutely what none of us have to say up here because we really don't know what we're talking about. The most important part is what you have to say. Make sure you jump in the comments section, leave your thoughts on any or all the topics we discuss here today. So thanks a lot for joining us. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.
Now I wanted to tell you guys that finally we have done this for a long time. You and I, for about a year now.
Yeah.
We've been making appearances on AMC Movie Talk.
Yeah, I pop in from time to time. You're one of their celebrated regulars.
I was made a regular in April of this year. It has been a blast. I've had so much fun doing it. We've met some great people along the way, and one of the people that we've become friends with, who is now we've been on the show. We talked to him about his opinions, respected his opinions, gone back and forth. He's called in once, but he's never been on the show live. Ever. And people were saying,
That is
when's he going to be
ridiculous.
on? When's he going to be on? Well, Schmoville, the wait is over because bringing to the table now, he's bringing the filthy. Here he is, the one and only John Campia from AMC Movie Talk. Finally. All right, there he is. The traffic kicking his ass, but he is here.
But I am here.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Yeah.
It's been a lot. I'm doing 5 shows today.
Holy
This is
crap.
number 4 or 5.
So what were the other
today.
ones?
Insane.
We had Movie Talk this morning.
Yeah.
Then I had 2 episodes of Mailbag. Then we have this. Then we have a John Wick screening followed by a John Wick review.
Oh, right. Okay.
And have you seen John Wick? Is this one of those things? Because I
Never
know
seen the screening tonight.
you are a multiple viewing kind of fan.
If you
love
like
seeing
it.
movies
Yeah.
multiple times. Yeah, you're not going to go 3 times
No,
to
you've
see a
seen
movie.
some
Boo,
crap boxes
but-
a couple times in a row, too,
I
right?
went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 times.
Okay, but you enjoyed.
It's not even that good. I just thought it was okay.
The Turtles are worth it, but you haven't seen John Wick yet.
No. It's one of those things. As we've gotten bigger and bigger, I go to less and less. So Amy Rose goes, or Alicia goes,
Yeah.
or Miri goes, or somebody else goes. So I don't actually get to see the press screenings very much anymore.
Yeah, well, I think that we have. I know your taste in movies well enough to know. I think John Campia is really going to like John Wick.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do.
my God.
John's here not only to talk about, we're going to talk about Ultron. We talked about it a little bit on AMC Movie Talk today. Actually, we talked about it for a while, like 15 minutes. We're going to talk about it a little more today. John's here actually to make a really big announcement. But
Ooh.
like we do in this show, we like to tease you. So we're going to do that. And in the meantime, Ken Knapsack, the pit boss, has an announcement. Before he gets to his announcement, we're going to hit the news. All right, Jete, hit it. That boy.
That was the old double T's, right?
Yeah, you're good.
One big announcement, another big announcement. Get it.
Jete had 22 minutes to hit that cue. I'm Ken Knapsack, and these are your Schmoes Know headlines brought to you by schmoesknow.com, your source for movie news, reviews, and clues. On Tuesday, Marvel revealed that the trailer for Avengers Age of Ultron was set to be released during next Tuesday's episode of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is kind of like being told the hot cheerleader will give you a kiss at the end of the night as long as you take her Forrest Gump like cousin to the prom. But have no fear. This is the future where nothing is sacred anymore. So, by Wednesday, the trailer had hit the internet, leaking like it had struck some sort of iceberg while Billy Zane chased 2 star-crossed lovers with a gun. But before you can say the NSA knows you watched it, Marvel tweeted, "Damn it, Hydra," and released the official trailer. The 2-minute clip gives you everything you want out of a superhero movie: concerned looks on your heroes, a menacing villain, and Scarlett Johansson. The movie is still set for a May 2015 release unless some 14-year-old kid wants to hack Joss Whedon's iCloud and show us now. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be canceled 2012, Disney's blockbuster film John Carter, which cost $250 million to make and took in $73 million domestically, laid such an epic turd that the definition of failure was officially changed to just the logline of the movie. Well, now Disney's rights to the property, which are the late author Edgar Rice Burroughs' book John Carter from Mars, have lapsed and reverted to Burroughs' estate, and Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. has announced that they are looking for a new studio to, quote, continue this seminal sci-fi adventure. The company's president, James Solis, added that they are looking for a partner to, quote, develop new adventures on film as chronicled in the 11 Mars novels. Burroughs wrote, "This adventure never stops," which is the same tone my crazy uncle uses when trying to get me to invest in his homemade ear medicine. When reached for a comment on whether he would return to the role of John Carter, the movie star Taylor Kitsch changed his phone number. Earlier in the week, New Line Cinema pushed back the release of the Conjuring sequel from 2015 to 2016, but no one expected they would do this next hashtag clickbait. Sorry. Actually, it turns out that they did it to ensure that James Wan could return to the director's chair, as he is still busy filming Vin Diesel's pecs for the Fast and the Furious 7. This is part of the bigger producing deal that New Line signed with Wan. The Conjuring 2: The Conjured will start filming next summer, which gives your boyfriend plenty of time to convince you that he's not scared. He's just busy that night. He'll watch it on Netflix later. He swears it. In a story popping up today, Aaron Sorkin and Danny Boyle have apparently found their Steve Jobs, and it's Little Women co-star Christian Bale. Sorkin confirmed this in an interview for Bloomberg. Sorkin's Jobs project has long been gestating, what with its rumored 3 scenes, not acts structure. It is also known as the one not starring Ashton Kutcher, proving that when it comes to Apple products, never buy the first version, wait till they release an update. Wow. Another poster for The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies, was released, meaning this movie has more posters than false endings in Return of the King. This one is the alleged final poster before the film's November release and shows, well, all of the characters in the movie and 5 armies battling. Someone was paid for that. Also, in a related note, an AP story emerged this week claiming that through March of this year, the production budget for all 3 of the Hobbit movies has reached nearly $1 billion New Zealand, or $745 million American. Warner Brothers and New Line refused to comment on the article. However, the detailed documents showed the cost of practical filming and digital effects, but did not appear for account for marketing and distribution costs. Though it does say that $42 million of that budget went to handwritten notes apologizing for shooting the movie in 48 frames. To date, the first 2 Hobbit movies have made $2 billion worldwide. After years of rumors, Paul Rust writing sessions, and Judd Apatow producing talk, Paul Rubens has told Rolling Stone magazine that a new Pee Wee Herman movie is in the works. Woohoo. An official announcement is imminent. The talks of a new Pee Wee adventure first surfaced about 4 years ago, something Rubens acknowledges by saying the project just kept, quote, stalling, and I know you are, but what am I, infinity. No official word on whether or not Apatow is still on board to produce, but it looks as though the film will go into production during the first quarter of 2015. Also, no word on how parents who grew up with Pee Wee will now explain to the young children that in 2015 you should not speak to a 62-year-old man wearing a tight suit and telling you to come back to his playhouse to sit on his magic talking chair. And finally, after months and months of rumors turned supposed cold hard facts, Jason Momoa has finally opened up and confirmed that he will be Aquaman. While he seemed to either lack or not want to share the details, he did tell comicbook.com that the character will be in the Justice League movie and a standalone movie that will probably be an origin story. And with that, I'd like to make my announcement to all of my longtime fans. Now that we have this confirmation of this character entering the Warner Brothers DC Cinematic Universe, I'd like to break character and speak for a second, if I may. Over the last year or so, I have told a series of jokes targeting Aquaman, in which I crafted a fictional storyline of Aquaman's constant, often losing battle for respect and approval and validation as a viable superhero from fans, movie studios, and at times his parents. Over the course of the last year or so, many fans have commented with the rage of 1,000 keyboards their displeasure at my jokes, saying I'm not giving Aquaman his due respect, or that I don't understand the full scope, scale, and skills of the superhero from the ocean floor, or some of you assume they actually gave a damn about Aquaman. But with the confirmation that the very talented, very cool Jason Momoa will be playing this, what I'm told is a legitimate superhero, I'm officially announcing the retirement of my series of Aquaman jokes. He will be disparaged no more by me. I reached out to the real Aquaman for a comment, and he said he was very pleased to hear this and can't wait to tell his parents, which he would do later tonight when he calls them to ask asked for $20 to renew his bus pass so he can get to work because Arby's doesn't clean itself. I'm Ken Napzok, and those are your Schmoes Know headlines brought to you by SchmoesKnow.com.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, man.
Ken Napzok
I just
crushing.
want Jason Momoa to be in here one day, and I want Ken to say those Aquaman jokes.
No,
in
he
his
won't. That's
face.
why he's not doing it anymore.
I'm glad that's what is retiring. You guys got me really worked up because I can't have this show without Ken's news. I hope to one day open for Ken at a Las Vegas casino.
Now, there's a lot of stuff that he brought up there, and
So much good news.
And we got the movie news guy here. The guy. So we got to talk to you. The first thing last week on this show.
Last week.
Yeah, last week on this show, Mark and I we talked about the bail thing was floating out there about jobs.
Yeah.
Now, Mark went on record to say that he doesn't think that if Bale was in this with Sorkin writing it and then Boyle directing, that this is an Oscar caliber movie.
I never said that. I said he's not getting nominated.
Oh, you're right. That's what you said. So he's not getting. He's not getting
Just
nominated. It's not
him,
Oscar.
not the
You
movie-
said the
not the
whole. You
whole
said no
movie.
Oscars around the horn. You got to re-listen to the show.
Okay.
No Oscar nominations
I'm
for
just
any
curious,
part of it.
and
Yeah.
you may feel the same way. My stance was that if that's the combination, we're getting nominations.
It's a lock.
Yeah.
It's a lock.
It's an absolute lock. Yeah, well, look, the Academy traditionally likes biopics. They like things based on true stories. They often don't, but they often do, right? You got Sorkin writing the script, automatic. You got Boyle directing, automatic. We've never had a Boyle directed Sorkin script, right?
Not
I don't
Sorkin.
think
No.
so.
I don't.
No.
Riley. Nothing.
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
so we've got the 7 moons of Mars kind of lining up here. And then you got Christian Bale, which we actually, you and I were talking about this earlier, actually. We've actually heard whispers of this like about a month and a half
Right.
ago that may come to fruition.
Yeah.
So no big surprise there. No, it would be shocking if this wasn't one of those, Lincoln across the board, almost every major category gets a nomination.
Well, I don't know
I'd be
how much
shocked.
cough syrup I had last week,
March.
but I think that the script, because Aaron Sorkin gets nominated for everything. Okay,
Right.
I don't know that Danny Boyle will get nominated, and I don't think Christian Bale is going to get nominated, regardless of how good his portrayal of Steve Jobs is. Simply because another dude did a pretty good impression of him a couple years before.
But have there been any films that have been like remakes or retelling of the exact same story that quickly?
Like
that
nobody
have gotten
played Ray
nominated?
Charles 3 years
Yeah.
before
Right.
Jamie Foxx played Ray
But-
I
Charles.
mean, there was Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
But
keep
which
this
did not
in
get
mind.
nominated.
Keep this in mind, though. Nobody saw the Ashton Kutcher version,
and it wasn't
Like,
based, and it
yeah.
wasn't supported the way that because this one is based off of the actual autobiography that was written on Jobs, the one that they're doing with Danny Boyle, the one that did Abramson, I believe, was who wrote it, and that's who they're basing this entire. And it was cooperation with Jobs. The other stuff was just public record, and it wasn't any cooperation with the family. So and it stopped. That movie stopped the Kutcher where you wanted to see more of. So there's so much more story to tell.
Well, boy, do I feel like Steve Wozniak right now.
I remember, and Woz, speaking of Woz actually came out against that other, job. So I'm saying like none of this is actually real. None of this is actually true. But remember this too: all acting nominations come from a marriage between performance and script.
Right.
I mean, you're never going to get an Oscar nomination with a terrible script. It's just not going to happen. So you've got a Sorkin written script, Steve Jobs. Nobody saw the Ashton Kutcher one, so no one's really going to be comparing it to it. So I think the chances are pretty damn good.
And if you're looking at Newsroom, like anything that he's been doing on that show, it's like he's at the top of his game. His writing is fantastic, and I think even looking at that character that Jeff Bridges plays, I mean, you're gonna get something of that look with Bale.
When you put
He's
Bale
at
in
the
there,
top of his game.
He really
There's only
is.
one
All
way to go. I'm rooting for this movie to be good, by the way. I just, I don't mind showing out $5 to my good buddy Christian.
Am I the only person though that I'm not? I have like, it could be really great, but I don't really.
It's nothing. It's nothing that I'm like. That's the one I got to see that year.
Yeah.
I think you'll change your tune when the trailer comes out.
I mean, I'm gonna see it for sure, but I'm not like, oh yeah, I really got to see a Steve Jobs
But
movie.
I'm saying, I think I want to know.
I'm with you, kid.
The
I'm
guy
with
was a genius and changed the way technology, like the way we.
I completely agree.
Yeah, so I'm
going to tweet from my Apple iMac how much I don't care about
But
seeing
you know
the
what
Steve
is
Jobs movie.
fascinating but concerning at the same time? This 3-scene thing. I've always been fascinated about. We've never really, we haven't seen many examples of things like for those of you who don't know, Sorkin has said this movie is going to be 3 events, 3 scenes. That's it. And I believe they're always supposed to be just before a major Apple announcement, like right before he announced the iPhone, right before he announced the iPad, and the other one might have been the iMac, as a matter of fact. But that's fascinating. It thrills me. But at the same time, it kind of worries me a bit. It's like, what kind of narrative structure can you really set up in that?
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see in the hands of a writer like Sorkin what he can do with that.
And the last act is just going to be a U2 concert. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, moving on. We're gonna be talking because the majority of this, we want to talk about this Ultron trailer. You guys have been asking about it. We're all huge fans about it. We're gonna talk about it in a second. What I want to ask John though too, because what we like to do on this show as well too is for Schmoville, for those people at Schmoville who don't know you, what you've done with AMC Movie Talk, you started in the blogosphere. You started in like 2002?
2003.
2003. Okay, so first of all, how did you start? Because there's so many people out there right now that are watching and tweeting out there that want to get into this space that we're in now, and they really want to get involved in reviewing, writing movies, just for their love of film. What inspired you to just get out there and start doing it, and then how did that progress from doing that into building AMC Movie Talk as to what it is today?
Well, as a quick plug, then I actually I put together a 2-hour video of just talking about how you can get started in the movie blog sphere and making movie videos and all that kind of stuff.
And is that on AMC Movies?
It's on our AMC YouTube channel. I'll fire you guys off the link so you can share with people at some point.
We'll put that on the website too.
Earliest childhood everybody knows this. Earliest childhood memory of mine is my mom taking me to see Star Wars, and it stuck with me my whole life. On my pajamas, on my bed sheets. My cat's name was Luke Skywalker. Everything about that. So lifelong. Lifelong
great.
love of movies since I was a kid. And then back in 2003, I was blogging before a lot of people knew what blogging was, but not specifically about movies, but I was always really passionate about movies. And I just started realizing I was blogging mostly about movies. So I went and bought a domain name called themovieblog.com. It was so early in the game that domain name was available.
Yeah. Nice.
So I started a website called themovieblog.com. I had like 13 readers the first month, which I thought was awesome. By the end of the first year, it was like 100,000 readers a month.
How do you do that? Like, how do you build, especially in 2003? Because we know now with whether it be, because from what we've done with YouTube videos, throwing that to the website and tweets.
Getting other social media people.
YouTube wasn't around back then.
Yeah.
Tweeting wasn't around. Facebook wasn't really around back then. How do you build that audience at that moment in 2003?
Yeah, well, actually, when I do like seminars and stuff like that about how to develop your blog, stuff like that, that's always the first question. How do you get an audience? And I always tell people you're asking the wrong question. Like, don't.
But
I always tell
back then
people,
is what I want to know. Not
He's saying you asked the wrong question.
I did.
Okay, let it go.
But how you did at the time was, I think one of the key things back at the time was, it's kind of a passé thing now, which was SEO, was search engine optimization. Google was the whole thing back then.
Yeah.
So you did what you had to do to make sure that your articles, whatever, got to at least somewhere in the first page or two of Google in the search results, right? But from there, it all just became about content. Because people can come and find your content because you got high on Google one time. But if your content is crap, then they're not going to come back.
Stay. Right.
So we started having some success with Google rankings and the various other search engines. Some other sites started to pick up on it, things like that. I grew it to about 250,000 readers a month. At that point, my friends I was working in law at the time.
Okay.
And I had some friends, I remember this day really clear, held an intervention with me. And they said, because I just made my first check. I had just made my first check for $400.
Yeah, okay.
$400 from Google AdSense. And so my friends had an intervention with me. And they said, you have to quit your job. This is what you love to do. You need to quit your job. Whatever.
Oh, those are some good friends. I thought they were going the other way.
No.
Unless they were trying to get you out of the office because you were better than them.
Or he spent that $400 on booze. That would have been another reason to have the intervention.
I can neither confirm or deny anything. So I quit my job. I moved out of the place I was living in. I moved into a 400 square foot bachelor apartment with which no air conditioning, barely had any running water. This was up in Canada. So I was living there at the time. And then about a year later, we hit 1 million viewers a month. A few months after that, Time Magazine did an article on me. And then I started making visits to LA. And then the guy who created MySpace bought my website from me, hired me on to stay on. I moved out here. He was a big dick. I stole my site back.
Wait, you know Tom? Tom's a dick?
Well, his name isn't actually Tom. I think Tom was the Vice guy or something like that. But
Tom's just the lackey.
And then about 5 years ago, AMC contacted me and they said, this is what we want to do online. We need somebody to come and create it and build it and run it. Would you want to be that guy? And I said, sure. So I've been with them. I thought I would do it for a year.
Yeah,
and I've been with them for over 5
And they
now.
let you do the videos because you've built it for what? Because we know from being on the YouTube space, it takes a while to really build it and having that AMC name and being able to, for that kind of support to say, okay, look, this is what we want to do, and for them to be able to, it says a lot for them, I think, as a company that because some companies won't always allow people to be opinionated on their shows. Right. It says a lot for AMC that they because you've done stuff to where you've put your opinion out there and said, no, this is how I feel about this movie. Is there a drawback from that too, or do they encourage that a lot of the times as well?
No, look, I can't talk highly enough about AMC and how they've allowed us to look. This is my big saying. I say, AMC had the vision to let us start this thing, and they have the integrity to kind of stay out of our way as we do it. They have, with us, created a real church and state relationship. Like, they completely stay out of it when it comes to anything we do editorially. They completely stay out because they see the value in it. And you got to understand, for any corporation, let alone a corporation that's almost 100 years old, to do that is mind-boggling. Like, seriously, what they have allowed us to do, we only can do what we do because they allow us to do it. But they have. I mean, I remember I was in Vegas a little while ago and having dinner with the vice president of the company, and they said, look, dude, seriously, you've got one job, make great content. I've got 2 jobs, get you what you need and keep everybody out of your way. And it's like, what other kind of company or corporation that's bankrolling this sort of thing will say that?
Well, you put together a great crew.
When is the...
I like your crew. I like your crew a lot.
When is the next seminar that you're doing, John?
Well, the reason I bring up the crew also is because now I know you also came here. We're going to talk about the Ultron, and then we have a special segment that we want to do with you as well too. But before that, you actually came on here to make an announcement.
I did, and we should get to that because this whole his opinion about Steve Jobs thing is making me rethink it. But so I better do it now. And get this out of the way.
I cannot wait to see Batman play a nerd with glasses. I cannot wait to see that.
So here's a story for your viewers, for people who do not know this story. All right, I have a life philosophy. My life philosophy is don't be the best you can be. My life philosophy is, if you're going to do something, strive to be the best in the world at it, like the absolute best in the world. Like, nobody's your equal, sort of thing. You're not necessarily going to achieve that, but you'll always overachieve what you would have been at your own personal best, I believe. So, and my other philosophy is this, is if you're going to be the best, you have to work with the best. And I believe that totally, wholeheartedly. I have my whole life. So a few months ago, I guess it's more than a few months ago now.
It's almost, April.
We were growing again, and we needed some more team members. We needed some more people on the Suns AMC team. And, through my right hand, her name is Amy Rose Eisenbach. We put out a casting call, had like 50 people apply who, I'm not kidding, are the best of the best. Like, people applied that I have been a huge fan of as movie journalists for years. Like, I was like geeking out. Like, we were doing our interview day, and each person would come in. I'm like starstruck by how much you have no idea how much of a fan I am of you.
The answer's
you're not getting the job, but you're awesome. It was, matter of fit. And anyway, so we're doing all that. Amy Rose gives me a call one day, and she goes, hey, you know the schmoes who come on and guest on the show? I'm like, yeah. She goes, Kristian Harloff wants to come in and meet with you. Like, and my first thing was, why? Like, why would he want to come in and
laughed him out of the room?
Like, I said, well, he's got his thing going with schmoes, man. He's doing a good thing with schmoes. Why? She goes, he just really wants to come and meet with you. I'm like, all right, set it up. So you came in, and we sat down. We had a very frank discussion, and I had a couple of reservations because I said, you're doing some great stuff at Schmoes, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, like, what about Mark?
Your wife? And also your other wife?
So I'm like, what about Mark? Because you guys are doing such great things at Schmoes. I don't want to see anything disrupted with your chemistry then.
He's like, who?
And I remember what you said to me. You looked at me and you said, because you're great at flattery. You looked at me and you said, I said, so in the light of all this, why do you want to do this? And you looked at me and you said, because I want to work with you. And I'm like, well, hell, I believe in working with the best, and I think you're great. So let's do this. And then, so we eventually set up, and then Mark started, or Kristian started working with us. So then, as things were going really well, you're great on the show. Our on-screen chemistry is pretty good. We feed off each other really well, and your interaction with all the other crew members is great. And our audience loves having you there, part of the team. And it was great. We started talking about, let's make this a little bit more serious. Like, we got to first base, let's see if we can get to second base.
Now, let's see second base, Tiffany.
I'm not watching Nymphomaniac.
Sorry.
So we
Won't do it.
We started talking about, well, let's do more together. Let's increase our involvement here. So we started talking, and the idea of Mark coming on board came up. And I'm like, I'm like, well, there's got to be a better idea than that. But they were like, no, let's talk about Mark. Because Mark has been a guest a number of times on AMC Movie Talk. And we talk. So what I am actually, all joking aside, what I'm really thrilled to announce is that a few weeks ago, Mark, Kristian, and I sat down, and we came to an agreement with each other. And I'm bringing Mark Ellis onto the AMC Movie News crew.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right.
And it was actually...
Thank you, sir.
Cody fell.
That's when it all
Cody.
went south.
And that is how you curse a new partnership, kids. You
And it was
spill
actually the
imported
day.
lager.
You guys, it was a Thursday because you guys had to leave our meeting
the
and
show,
go
yeah.
do the show.
Yeah.
And that was the day that Mark was wearing a Sons of AMC shirt.
Right. Yeah.
And that was that day, and that's what came. So starting November, actually, Kristian is even going to be more involved with AMC. You're going to be doing even more shows there
Right.
every month. Mark is going to be
Jedi
doing
Jedi
Council, movie talk, movie review, all that kind of stuff. And Mark is going to be joining us as well starting November 1st. So I'm really excited. Like I said, if you're going to be the best, you have to start by working with the best, and you guys are the best.
Thank you. Man.
And,
We're excited. Yeah.
I'm really excited to have you guys
If you
here.
bring in Kristian, I was like that movie, The Best of the Best. This is the best of the best, too.
And I should say, just because she's sitting at the table, like Tiffany and I had a sit-down discussion a while ago, and because we were talking about a whole bunch of different stuff, and I remember I sat down with Tiffany, we were talking about it, I said, look, at some point, we are going to work together. We're going to find some way, somehow, someday, in some avenue. We're going to work together.
Just has to clean up the
Because
potty mouth.
This is just such a great team of people up here that it's just fantastic what you guys have done here. And Kristian and Mark, what you've both done with AMC already has been great. And I'm just really excited. I couldn't be happier to have you guys
I
with
look
me.
forward to my opportunity with AMC. This is exciting. I know that John's philosophy is be the best in the world. That's not my philosophy, so I won't be stepping on your toes.
I think I have to say the obvious thing at this point, and that's just don't embarrass us.
I guarantee you this. I will tell you this, and everybody from Schmoville and from AMC, I guarantee you I will be the sweatiest member of that panel. You heard me, John Schnapp.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the sweatiest member of AMC Movie News.
And Kristian assured me he would take full responsibility for
him.
the
I would.
We're all
Well,
good.
very proud. I'm very proud of it. Very happy about
right.
it. And
Good.
you know, we're gonna get to Ultron soon. But all of this, when I'm thinking about this, is it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the statement on my shirt, I believe it is true for a very select few people, and David Bowie would definitely be one of those for me. His musical career was a huge influence on me, as well as his performances on screen. I love seeing him in The Prestige because I didn't know that he was in it when I got it on Netflix or however I rented it. It might have been one of my last rentals at Blockbuster, is I popped it in and seeing him pop, I'm like, oh, sweet, I love David Bowie because he played also not one but two very famous historical figures. He was Andy Warhol in Basquiat and was tremendous, and he played Pontius Pilate in The Last Temptation of Christ. Like, how versatile can this guy possibly be? You look at how versatile he was in his music career, and that's like enough for everybody, and then how good he was on screen, and obviously as a kid growing up around that generation. Labyrinth, I love seeing him as the Goblin King, so it's a huge loss for artists in general, for that community. It's a huge loss for planet Earth. Check out Diamond Dogs, too. Diamond Dogs is probably my favorite Bowie album. It doesn't get mentioned with the greats of all time, but you got Rebel on there, you got 1984. That's a great cut.
Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome, one and all, to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy, live from our studios here in Anytown, USA. My name is Mark, and on today's show, Spider-Man takes us all to Morton's. Who's joining us, Ashley?
Also here is John Schnepp.
That's right. Welcome back. I'm back. I'm happy to be back.
Hey, welcome back to yourself. I love that.
I'm welcoming myself back because I missed myself being on this show.
Welcome back.
What's going
Welcome
on?
back.
Hey, welcome back.
Also here is Jeremy Johns.
I would like to welcome Schnepp back any day. In fact, you're worth two of me, Schnepp. There's going to be two Schnepps here now instead of one me. I'm going back to sleep. And Morton's.
Also here, Kristian Harloff.
Hey, Petey, welcome back. I got to tell you, I've been missed. It's the bit. It's like you in the shop. What are you doing?
I'm just hanging out a little bit, doing some things, you know.
Got some gas?
I had do some things. Take care of some business.
Well, it's better than the shit rats. Before we get into our first official topic today, I'm not one for announcements, but a lot of you guys have been asking. A lot of people have been wondering. So I am thrilled to say that the brass here at Complex and Collider have made the very questionable decision of installing me, Mark Ellis, as the new host of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you. Please take your seats, everybody. The engine that John Campia built pretty much runs itself, and so I'm very happy to have the keys to this Speedwagon and to tell you guys that in the next weeks and months before I inevitably get let go, I would like to have some new segments on here. We're going to have an increased diversity, more opinions on the panel. And look, I know a lot of people out there are wondering, and you may be voicing your concerned opinion, hey, can a comedian run a professional movie news show? That's valid. I have no idea. We're about to find out together. One thing I can promise you guys is that sidebar right there is going to be drinking a whole lot more regularly. Do a shot, sidebar. What's our first story, Ashley?
Sammy Hagar, one of the top 2 lead singers of Van Halen, recently stated that he's open to a reunion with frontman David Lee Roth in this proposed tour. The two would take turns belting the hits and a sort of vocal dueling banjos routine. Mark, what do you think about a possible full lineup reunion of the greatest band of all time?
This is a real story, and we'll talk about it for a second. Yes, I would totally be up for it to be the best of both worlds. You open with Unchained, you close with Top of the World. As long as Michael Anthony is playing bass again, I am good with both lead singers in Van Halen, though I don't think Roth would ever do it. Anybody want to weigh in?
I'm totally front row. This is still happening. This is my favorite. I want to get to Coors Light and carrots. Like I really want to. And then all right, Dog Pit. This is a good show today, as long as we stay on it.
That's how you run a movie show, is that you put dog picks at the end, so people have to stay around for all the other boring topics, and then you get to cute dog picks. Kristian, Halen. Right, well, he's a dad. He sleeps a lot. John Schnepp, you in for this?
Front row tickets, baby. I'm going. It's
what
amazing.
I like to hear. Ashley Mova? That was her doing her impression of the opening of Jump. All right, let's move on to our first official movie news story here today.
Happy
Birthday to you.
I didn't know that.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mark Ellis.
Not gonna do it.
Happy birthday to you.
Wow, this is
what an asshole.
Baby carrots. Baby carrots.
Oh, thank you, guys. You know what, Adam? Put up the other sidebar for a second. This would be more fun. That feels good. Thank you guys very much. I had my birthday on Friday, and it feels good to be 67.
Yeah.
Got it. You know you're getting old when they only put 3 candles on the cake.
Forget how many there is.
Thank you guys very much. That means a lot that anybody even knows my first name here. Thank you all very much.
No problem, Jim.
Now, that's good icing.
You got to wear the hat the whole show.
Without further ado, what is our first official topic here on Collider Movie Talk?
This next one comes from Blade GTR, who writes, since we're talking about Ready Player One, do you think orchestral score or a movie's soundtrack plays more important?
Man, I mean, like in a score is kind of what makes the movie flow from one scene to another one. If it's a question of score or soundtrack, then I think it depends on the movie. Like, obviously, movies like Dazed and Confused are much more memorable, or Wayne's World, for the scores, for the soundtracks of the songs that were used in those movies. But I think for something like Ready Player One, which is video game centric, I think the score is going to be the biggest player.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain times that as long as the score and the soundtrack fits the overall tone and feel and becomes a character in the movie. For example, it's a soundtrack in Baby Driver, but it's as much of a character as Kevin Spacey is. So at Pulp Fiction, soundtrack really makes that movie what it is. But then there's a movie like I saw last night for the first time, and it's not a great movie. It's okay at best. It's Time Traveler's Wife, right? I watched it with my wife last night, and there's a score in there, and I want to find out who did the score. And it fit the tone and the feel and the emotion of it. It's just, score is more powerful with certain movies because it's when it's subtle. Very similar to what you say about special effects, where you don't even realize that it's there. But
invisible.
It's just taking you through it, and you feel it the same way you just would feel anything, the way a certain actor looks at somebody. It's that music playing in the background that is, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be feeling. That's why sometimes when it's a little jarring and the music, like there's parts of Spider-Man that I loved, and there's parts of Spider-Man that just, it didn't fit. It was loud, it was bombastic, and it wasn't working because it's like trying to be dramatic, and you don't need to do it. But then there's other times when it just fits in beautifully, and it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute, that's exactly what I feel and how that kid would be feeling, and that's the emotion I got.
That's a better way to do it in movies. Just don't have a dramatic score. Just have a guy saying, dramatic time, character about to die.
This is scary.
You start crying now.
It is
John
scary.
Schnapp.
I'm feeling very emotional. You know what? The biggest difference for me is, like, if it's a genre-specific type film, especially science fiction, I find that the soundtrack, the score, musical score is really important. Moon, I can name off a bunch of films. Mark Ellis' favorite film, Blade Runner by Vangelis.
We'll see it before the movie comes out.
We were going to see it. I'm going to make sure that we're going to see it together.
We'll see it. I'll be drinking at Comic-Con watching Blade Runner.
But you know, Ready Player One takes a lot of elements have that '80s theme. So I would be surprised if there aren't a lot of musical drops from the '80s in Ready Player One. So
Jeremy Johns, scores, soundtracks, Ready Player One. You have the final word on today's episode of Collider Movie Talk.
Ooh, no pressure. I think scores and soundtracks, like you guys have said, depends on the movie and what they're going for. I think the scores are going to be very important. Because Ready Player One's very video game centric, right? So that might be why Silvestri has that one, because I'm sure John Williams is like, in a world of blending video game and movies, I don't play video games.
Right.
I don't know his gamer tag if he has one. So Silvestri might be the better guy to blend that world together. Things that dawn on me 45 minutes after we first talked about it. So I think it's going to be very important. I think they're both going to do. I think it's going to be a good thing. I think they're going to do a great job.
Silvestri, pretty good blending of stuff when it comes to Forrest Gump or when it comes to Back to the Future. He had his great score and also Huey Lewis in the News.
That's right.
Giving us some all-time classics. Well, thank you guys for joining us here on Collider Movie Talk, a very cake, frosting, and Van Halen-centric episode. Where can everybody find you, Mr. John Schnapp?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at John Schnapp, and later today on Collider Heroes.
And every day this week on Collider Heroes for tasty little nuggets. Jeremy Johns, where can the kids check you out?
Oh, you can find me at Jeremy Johns on YouTube, Twitter, rest of the internet. You can find my show Awesome-tacular on Go90, where I literally have pieces with all these guys here. Schnepp and I, we go comic book shopping. Harloff and I, we talk Star Wars. Mark Ellis and I, we throw pies in each other's faces. And as a guy who just had his birthday, Mark, being almost 40, you look like you're 30, you think like you're 20, and you act like you're 10.
He did the reference!
But you are fun to play board games with.
Does anybody get it? Write us right now. Kristian Harloff.
Nickelodeon?
Nope.
No. You can find me at Kristian Harloff, Twitter and Instagram. We mentioned also, Heroes and the video game. We're gonna have more information on that, so we'll post it up. I'll post it up on my Twitter account so you guys can get involved a little later today. And for everybody who watched a Collider Collision this past weekend, thank you so much. The amount of support that you guys have shown, all the comments, all the likes, everything. So many people have shared it and been talking about it. So thank you so much for watching, and appreciate it.
It was a slam bang match. I would say some of the better matches we've ever had in the Schmodown took place this past Friday. Make sure you guys check out both parts 1 and 2 on the channel right now. Miss Ashley Mova, where can the kids find you?
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
And Wendy Lee Zaney.
Wendy Lee Zaney on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
I am merely Mark Ellis. You guys can find me at Mark Ellis Live. Thank you to all of our crew. Thank you to everybody who came out and celebrated my birthday. It means a whole lot. Very excited to be captaining this movie talk ship Monday through Thursday, and Dennis is going to be back each and every Friday. I appreciate all the support, guys. Please let us know what you thought about today's episode of Movie Talk. We'll talk to you soon. I'm still working on my sign-off.
But John, it's also called Dawn of Justice.
But John!
But John!
The thing that I wanted to talk about was yesterday, because I saw a lot of tweets about it, and there was no reason for me to tweet about it because I can talk about it. In 2007, I started doing movie reviews on Current TV. I was asked by a friend of mine to do it.
Is that the Al Gore Network?
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
We did a sketch or something for them back in the day.
Well,
Casual Mafia days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a friend over there, was a producer, and she had done stand-up comedy with me, and she said, "Hey, this is before anybody was doing reviews or anything too." And she's like, "We thought about doing something where it's user reviews, and you guys can watch a bunch of pilots, and we'll pay in pizza and beer." And she's like, so I was like, cool. I said, I'm good. So she's like, can you find somebody? I was like, yeah. So I just shot my pilot, The Grasping at Straws, and when I was there, and I was starting to go to the Comedy Store a lot, I was hanging out with Mark Ellis. Mm-hmm. So I said to Mark, I'm like, dude, let's do this. And we did, and we just, from there in 2007, August 2007, all the way up until about a year, we were doing reviews, and we'd start doing them together, realized the chemistry was pretty good, and after the Current TV thing went away, we said, let's start doing something on YouTube. So Schmoes Know was born.
How did you come up with the name, by the way?
So the same producer who was producing over at Current TV had said to me, well, you guys should, if you're going to take it over to YouTube, you should approach it in that way of the everyday guy. Mm. So why don't you call it like the Joe Schmoes? And I was like, I don't know about that, but I like that. Like,
not
just
that one
the average
of these names Joe either.
I like the average schmo. Yeah. And she's like, all right, the schmoes that do the schmoes reviews, schmoes do the schmoes know movies. And I was like, well, schmoes know. Just because we can talk about anything. Mm. So her and I came up with Schmoes Know, and Ellis hated it. And we and so Mark and I just started doing our reviews on Schmoes Know, and it just became this like perfect partnership.
to this day. I mean, just he balances me out. He calms me down. There's
YouTube Siskel and Ebert, basically.
yeah, but it's just so much more than that. It's like everything besides just the Siskel and Ebert stuff. It's like the stuff that we've done with the Schmodown. Is that we know how to work with each other very well. So in 2014, I became a regular on AMC Movie Talk, and at the time, there wasn't a need to have both the schmoes on Movie Talk. So I was doing that, and at first there was even concern with me being on Movie Talk because was I concerned enough with AMC?
Well, it wasn't that, dude. It was Willem Dafoe knew about the cans.
And he made some calls.
Told
He made some
AMC.
calls. Yeah, he went back in time. I know it's true.
I don't know if you want this guy.
And it's true.
He puts his trash in my cans.
Right.
And that's not welcome.
And on Christmas, he let the box open the lid. 9!
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Not a big fan.
You like 8 better?
Yes.
The only person that
I
likes
love
that,
8.
that yelling 9 is the waitress across the street.
Yeah, you know what? People have been writing to me in the 8 joke in Spanish.
Oh,
they're
really?
like,
Ocho.
¿Cuántos?
Ocho.
Ocho. Yeah, ocho. Yeah.
What is eighth?
Eighth or eighth?
Eighth.
So it's like the 8th.
Oh, octavo.
Octavo.
Look at Roku.
Of course. What?
You get the point first. All right.
In the Spanish off.
But
Sorry,
anyway, it's
go
all
ahead.
right. So so like I said, there was a concern that would I be focused more on schmoes or could I focus in on movie talk? I believe that I proved that I could. And then with that, I was like, we got to get Ellis here. And about 7-8 months later, Ellis joined Movie Talk and joined AMC at the time as well. And like he does everywhere he goes, he fits in. He's a constant professional. He is one of the funniest individuals that I know. He gets it done no matter if he's in a good mood, if he's in a bad mood, he gets it done. So when John Campea left the channel of Collider, I think in 2017, that's when we were all thinking there's only one person that can do it, that can host Movie Talk, and it was Ellis. And he did it for 2 years, and he did it his way, and he did it professionally, and he made everybody feel comfortable when they're on the air. His job, it was always his job to not shine the light on himself. It was always his job to make everyone stronger on the panel.
He's
always
such a good host.
It's always been his philosophy from the day that I met him.
That's why I wasn't allowed on the show.
Right. He is that guy that knows what people's strengths are. He knows when to throw you a curveball. He knows when to throw you a fastball. He is just that good. So when he decided he wanted to do some more live shows, and he wants to go and focus on stand-up, and he wants to do more things and get out there. And obviously, he and I have very big plans for the Schmodown. We're going on the road 5 to 6 times this year together. We've been putting more reviews up on the Schmoes channel, or now the Schmodown channel. So I understood it and I got it when he decided that he's stepping away from Movie Talk, and it'll and the show will go on. But Mark Ellis is my best friend in the world. He is a pro, and he is a guy that we were lucky, and you guys were lucky to have him as a host for the last 2 years. And he'll be on the show. I talked to him this morning. He just needs some time, and then he'll be on the show a lot. And he'll be doing Schmodown. So
we talked all about it back and forth from Arizona, like at length.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. It definitely wasn't an easy decision. Like anything Mark does, he thinks it all the way through. Unlike me, who's just like, oh, don't stop. Mark knew what he wanted to do, and I think. I think he's thinking about next steps. Like, what does he want to do outside of Schmodown, outside of Schmoes, and all that kind of stuff. And, you lose an awesome host on a show, but you don't lose the vibe of the show. You don't lose anything like that. You just lose, what Mark brought to the show and the new energy on the show next. Whenever incantation it takes, it will have that, feeling of what Mark did and, all the other people that have done it before.
Yeah, having been one of the kind of consistent regulars over the last few months with Mark, it's been a blast. And Mark has fought for me to be on the show, and that has meant a lot to me. As still somewhat new to this business, to this industry, to have Mark fight for me and have me on the show. And in fact, he requested me to be on the last show tonight with Perry. Today with Perry, that means a lot. And Mark is like, he brings me up and do those stand-ups and stuff. Mark is an incredibly awesome guy who cares. When he likes someone, he will help you. Yeah. He will be there for you. But as a panelist, though, I learned so much watching him host a show. He's like a basketball, right? He's like a point guard. He sets everybody up. He gets the ball to you in the position where you can get the best shot for yourself. And that's what's incredible when you're watching Mark Ellis. I'm going to miss the F out of him being on the show because nothing rattled him. Nothing rattled him. Got a story 30 seconds before we're about to go air. He can talk about it now. So we got this or that, throwing things around. Nothing rattled. Never stumbled over his words. Rarely ever. He's just incredible in that way.
It just seems so effortless when he does that. You know, but I will say though, change is scary, but it's good.
Yeah, it is, and I think, and for him for sure, because like I said to you guys too, I've been watching Mark do stand up for a long time, and I when I got a chance to see him in New York with you guys, I hadn't really seen him in person in such a long time. We used to perform with each other all the damn time, but to see him do what he's doing now, I mean, he's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and he should be focusing a lot on that. And that's why when we do Schmoedowns now, we're making it a thing that Saturday night is our show, and then Friday night these three knuckleheads are going to be doing stand up like the night before. So it'll be
the show's been awesome, man.
It's been great. So like we're going to have we're hoping to do it in Chicago. I think we are doing it in Chicago. You know, the
I'll be there.
Yeah, you will be. So the Los Angeles.
I'm not going to the Schmoedown, but I'll be in Chicago.
That's very nice of you.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, maybe
just eating hot dogs.
You know, you're not a nice person.
Am I nicer than William Dafoe?
Had she said that in Spanish, we would have been like,
yeah, absolutely. Please don't come to the show. Absolutely.
Goldfish here.
There it is.
I was thinking about this too, because it's like, how do you sign off as the host of Movie Talk? You should probably go out on a movie quote. So, Jonathan, to answer your question, there's a lot that have been running through my mind in the last week. One was No One's Ever Really Gone. Obviously, I'm going to go to something that's Star Wars-y or May the Force Be With You. I could make my poster-thieving friends, Dorina and Nathan, very happy by quoting something from Young Guns 2, like when Doc says to Billy, "Billy, let's finish the game." But the one that just sticks in my head is one of my favorite lines, and my family quotes it because we are a strange comedic family, is the last line in the movie Clue, when we find out who Mr. Green really was the whole time, and he says, "I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife." So shake, rattle, and roll. And that is going to do it for us here on this episode of Collider Movie Talk. So many thank yous to dole out, and I don't have time to single out every individual that has had some hand or role in getting me into this seat, which I have such regard for and reverence for. When John Campea was sitting here, the fact that I got to take over to him was such a high honor, one that I don't think I could ever live up to, and passing the torch on to the next host of Collider Movie Talk is an honor that now I get to do. It's a marathon, it's a baton race, and I'm just happy to be one leg of that sprint. Perry Nemiroff, thank you for joining us here today. Where can all the kids out there find you?
At P. Nemiroff. Can I say one thing about you?
I guess we'll allow.
All right, I can't let you close it out. I'm sure everybody out there knows, but from a producing standpoint, and I think from the standpoint of anybody that works in this office, Mark Ellis, you could see it on camera, but he is truly a freaking ray of sunshine when he walks into this office. Always has the best attitude. He's game for anything. Seriously, stop laughing. You really do have a great effect on this office, and that's why we're so close. That's why we work so well together. It's because of influences like that. Someone that works super hard, someone that always comes to set prepared, no matter what crazy things I throw at him in the show notes. You're awesome. It really has been a pleasure and a true honor to produce this show for you. So thank you so much for your hard work and kindness.
Well, thank you very much, Perry Nemiroff, not only for your kind words, for the fact that you make me look at least of average intelligence each and every day because you deliver such great show notes. And I guess the biggest thank you of all for you is because now you just set the bar so high, and Rocha somehow has to follow that.
Well, I personally hated every goddamn minute I was on this set with Mark Ellis. I'll be honest with you.
You and I have had
That
some
son
good
of a
shouting
bitch.
matches in this office over the years.
I mean, I wrote everything he said. It is, comes to me, goes, Rocha, what can I say about stuff like this? I'll give you something so I can have some points to say. I'll give you my best points so that I don't. No, honestly. Well, I said it on Collider Live today. One of the best dudes I've ever worked with, one of the best guys I've ever worked with, and you're one of the best point guards. And people get this point reference, I hope. What you do that's amazing about you as a host is that you set everybody up in the right position for them to make the best shot. You are incredible at setting anybody up, and no matter who, if there's the first time, like with Coy, first time on Movie Talk, or it's their 1 millionth time on Movie Talk, you know exactly how to set people up, and nothing ever phases you. Me still learning to be a good host, watching you every day that I've had a chance to be on the set has been a masterclass in hosting, because nothing ever shakes you. You rarely ever stumble, and you always roll with whatever happens. Like Perry said, you roll with whatever's going on and you make it work. And you can't ask for anything more than that from a host. And so it's been my honor, honestly, my honor and my blessing to not only be a panelist on here, but to be your friend. So I wish you the best of luck at where you're going, my friend.
Well, I really appreciate both y'all making the time to be on the show this Thursday, because I did want my two favorite panelists to help send me off into the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade sunset, because I think about all the great talents that I've had a chance to work with since I took over on the show, all the way back in the early days when Ashley Mova and Sinead DeVries and Natasha Martinez were here, to Jeremy Johns, Kristian Harloff, who helped me get into this whole world. Thank you to Mark Fernandez, who allowed me to continue steering the ship once he took over the helm at Collider, and to Wendy Lee, who is always great at wrangling me, at keeping me straight, at getting the info that she needs in order to make the schedule and keep us all in line. She does a magnificent job. And to Cody Hall, you may know him as Chet Barney, Copster, and especially Adam Smith, who engineers this show day in and day out, always has a smile on his face. And all the nice things you guys have said to me, we'll miss you, the goodbyes, the don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. I all take it in stride, because I know it's not just a compliment to me, it's a reflection of the entire team here. I'm just the guy that went to Men's Warehouse one time, put this on, and got to host the show, but it is everybody else's effort here that makes this show run. I simply am the guy that gets to occasionally take the credit for it. So with all the thank yous out of the way, I guess the last person to say thank you to is you. It's not the entire internet. It's actually you, the person I'm talking to right now. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate your honesty. Even when we disagreed on this show, it was a good time. I've been hosting this show for 2 years, and I'll be honest with you, I was thinking about it this weekend. It feels like it went by so quickly, and I don't know where the time went. And so I'll remind you that you're watching this show and you're enjoying us each and every day, and we're people and you're a person too. And when we get into this room, we do this show, we're more than just that. We become a community, and this community is so special to me, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be in the community. I still live in the town. I'm moving houses, but I'm still going to be around here. There's nothing changing with Schmoes or Schmodown. This community is because of y'all. We're happy to be here on camera, but it's because of you guys showing up each and every day. So make sure that you take care of this community, you preserve it, you treat it with kindness and respect, because we're all people at the end of the day, and we're all just doing our best. So if I have to have a movie quote to take me out, I think that in honor of my favorite high schooler, I'm going to go with Ferris Bueller, because like I said, these 2 years have flown by and life moves pretty quick. And if you don't stop to take a look around once in a while, you could miss it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your patronage, and thank you for all of the future opportunities that I will have both here at Collider and everywhere else, because you, the fan, somehow keep watching. I'm Mark Ellis, and we'll throw it to the wide to say goodbye. That is John Roca. That is Perry Nemiroff. I am merely the baby version of a carrot. I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.